Hi, you guys. Good morning. So I wanted to show you a little something about search and seizure because they are able to file a warrant against the worth of your body and call it a carry-on under airport law. Developments in federal law, search and seizure. What constitutes a search? Where a private party acts as an instrument or agent of the state in effecting a search, Fourth Amendment interests are implicated. So if you can find the people that targeted you, that stole your assets, or prevented you from getting assets under the Z1 fugitive list, you can find that this has been violated. Because usually those people, you can track them down on any of those searches, any of the background searches. You can even order a truth finder for 1 month. It's $28. I don't work for Truth Finder. I'm telling you, just order it for 1 month and see what you can find. And start with your grandparents if you can't find anyone. Look under dead people. Don't stop looking just because the person's name or who you think they are dead. Look under those people, because often many things are hidden under those people. In determining whether the actions of a private person are attributable, the Ninth Circuit set a two-part test. The government knew and acquiesced in the conduct, and the party performing the search intended to assist law enforcement. All right. An airport's employees' actions were attributable to the government, even though the government had no knowledge of the particular search. In my case, it was a protracted scheme. The people in my life were DEA and FBI agents, and they knew that hundreds and hundreds of filings against me existed in San Bernardino County, hidden in other states, marriages to people at NASA, fake marriages. These are false instruments or counterfeit instruments done with the knowledge and consent of the federal government. Even though the government had no knowledge of the particular search, because government officials previously paid the employee to search bags, right? A hotel manager acted as government agent when the manager reported a guest's suspicious activity to police. Police were present while the manager searched the guest room. Fourth Amendment also triggered when the government actors exceed the scope of the initial private search. They can't examine a closed container not previously opened by the private party unless they are substantially certain of what is inside. Yeah, they know pretty much that women carry ovaries, and they can probably ascertain that you also have a gallbladder and a pancreas and a liver and other things inside that are worth money to them. So that is how they're using the law on search and seizure. United States versus Runyon, analogizing digital media storage devices to containers and ruling police exceeded the scope of the private search by examining computer disks of the private actor provided but had not opened. Okay, because of the way the internet works and the way they use us and claim that we're computers or software or whatever, these words, just because they don't say a human being, still are worth looking into. The government may exceed the scope of a private search of cell phone images stored online if agents are uncertain that contraband will be found. What? It says, okay, so they can go into your, I guess, cell phones. The government may have problems establishing the same scope where electronic devices are involved. Search of physical spaces and the items they contain differ in significant ways from searches of complex electronic devices. Holding the police exceeded the scope of the private search because they lacked virtual certainty that the files viewed were the same ones viewed by the private actor. Okay, but they're doing it to take out, they're calling what is located inside your carry-on cash. Cash. And they're doing it through false guardianships under AIEA, which is under the UN's authority. And they know it's torture. I have seen false documents where the UN is saying these false marriages are torture. It's torture and slavery. You can't do this to people. Yet they continue to do it. And our city council continues to hide the records down in San Bernardino. Searches of physical spaces, blah, blah, blah. The Warren count freed the scope of Fourth Amendment searches from the constraints of property rights by focusing on whether government action infringed upon a reasonable expectation of privacy. A reasonable expectation of privacy turns on whether the person had an actual expectation of privacy and whether the individual's subjective expectation of privacy is one that society is prepared to recognize as reasonable. Any plastic surgery clinic, you don't expect that to be considered an airport, or that your body is considered a carry-on. So they're going into women and stealing their organs under this law, knowing it's not legal, knowing that the files charges against the person are charged against the worth of their body parts, worth of their blood. I know you guys sometimes think I'm RH. What is RH? Is it a royal herring? Come on, my blood might not be any different, or my blood might have special attributes, but royal herring, right? Could be royal herring. What is RH blood? It's RHO. That's the richest blood because maybe it's the richest blood worth worth billions because of the amount of crimes committed against the person in terms of filings done with consideration of facts. So again, a physical trespass, meaning police coming into your apartment, which happened to me. You guys know that I reported somebody for claiming they were going to kill themselves at D.D. Hirsch. And then a few hours later, the police, there were a bunch of police. I don't know if it was 6 or 8. It seemed like a lot because they had guns trained on my door, trained at me. A citizen that reported a friend for telling her they were going to commit suicide. Then the police of LAPD claimed I was going to commit suicide, which I never ever said. So they just do whatever they want to frame you and trap you, to castrate you because of the worth of it, you guys. And I've shown you that California law under Ronald Keyes. He is a government official going under the false name of Timothy Pure. Timothy Pure. His real name is General Ronald Keyes. I showed you that sterilization document. You guys can look up the laws in California are if they frame you, even if they frame you for 3 offenses, which Eric Garcetti did with my father, claiming my father had a drug offense against him. My father is he's a U.S. citizen, as far as I can tell, and a doctor. But under the signed affidavit of Eric Garcetti, he gets discovery rights. Discovery rights include my father's collateral, where I'm being held as a slave. Levon versus City, talking about, look at this, attaching a global positioning system to a defendant's car with the purpose of gathering information constitutes a search. So I've worked for people that do that, and it is not legal, you guys. It is not legal. They put a tracking device on a car, and then they try to get you to work for them, knowing that the tracking device is on the car. These people work for the police trying to frame you because they got your billions of dollars. It's not theirs to take under these laws. The Fourth Amendment protects possessory and liberty interests even when privacy rights are not implicated. I think, you guys, they're also using religion. Everything goes under the Pope. The Pope just decides that all the Christians get to be enslaved. I don't think this is right. I don't think this is right. You can't pick and choose who gets to be enslaved. And remember, Roosevelt himself thanked the LA Times for not reporting on certain crimes. They are committing thousands of crimes against one individual and then putting, because the individual is collateral, claiming that the individual has those crimes or those debts, which they don't. It is conceivable that by directing the drug dog to touch the truck and toolbox in order to gather sensory information about what was inside, the Border Patrol committed an unconstitutional trespass. Special positive law alert. I don't know what this is. In Byrd, the defendant tried to argue common law property rights as an alternate theory. Permissive use of a car rental conferred interest of a second bailee. Remember, anytime you do a background check, check their cars. Go to your VIN on your own, car. Check your car. Check their cars. Did anybody buy you a car? My mother bought me a car. Because I didn't have the legal right to work in America. This means. Okay. In United States versus Marr, the court denied a defendant's motion to suppress warrantless audio recordings of conversations captured by microphones. It's pretty interesting, you guys. The government conducts a search when it attaches a device to a person's body without the person's consent. So anyone who's walking around with chips or thinks they're walking around with chips, that would be a violation. For purpose of tracking the individual's movements. I mean, they don't have to. They just use the DMV. Your name is attached to false crimes that you didn't commit. So, but we all, like when we looked at our MRIs. We have, I have a spinal implant that Medtronic was fined $45 million for. I never got a cent from that. I found documents under my sister's false names, fake aliases, where it claims she was found guilty of second-degree murder. I mean, you guys, they're putting charges on people that don't exist. I thought of that Snoop Dogg song, "Murder was the case that they gave me." It doesn't mean he committed murder, but they gave him a case where they claimed somebody else committed murder, if you understand my meaning. and then they call it certain sex offenders.